Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the 5-Minute Facebook Ministry. My name is Anthony Daniels, and I'm coming to you from Dubai, UAE. Today we're coming out of the book of 2 Samuel, the 21st chapter, 22nd verse. That's 2 Samuel 21 and 22. And it reads out of the NIV, "These four were descendants of Rapha and Gath, and they fell at the hands of David and his men." Again, these four were descendants of Rapha and Gath, and they fell at the hands of David and his men. Now in this story they're talking about these four. These were four giants that came out of Rapha and Gath. And David had already killed Goliath as a young man. Now David killed Gath as a young boy. Now David is a man, and there are four more giants that David and his men have to deal with. Now, if you look at all of the pain and anguish that Saul and his army went through, sitting on a hill watching Goliath come out every morning and ask for someone from Israel to come out and fight him, and they were all afraid, and their leader was afraid. Saul was afraid, and his men were afraid. And it took a young man like David, who was not at that point really a follower of Saul. He was a shepherd. So he was alone by himself, and he learned to trust God as he kept his flocks. He talked about killing a bear with his bare hand and killing a lion. And that came through faith in God. He was by himself. He had no one else to depend on but God. And that's a lot of the Psalms that David wrote. Some of those were wrote when he was a shepherd boy, we think. But we come to a point where now David is king. Saul has just died, him and his son Jonathan. And David trusts God. And it says they fell at the hands of David and his men. So not only does David trust God, now his men also trust God. So what this tells us is, when we are leaders or leading our families, or even if we aren't leaders, if there's anybody around us, that if we have a faith in God and we show that faith, it will draw others to believe in God. Our faith in God will build up faith in other individuals. As we go through our battles, as we go through and face our giants in life, in this life, and we face those giants through a faith in God, those that are under our leadership, that will be our families, our children, even co-workers, even enemies that see us acting in faith, will begin to understand and see how God delivers those who trust Him. And through your actions, through your belief, through your trust in God, you can have people follow you just like David. David's men followed him. And you can have people follow you to Christ. You can have people build their faith up through you because they see you as an example of a strong Christian who trusts and believes in God. If we have men and women in the church, and if you look at churches that are growing and churches that are not growing, and strong churches, and a lot of times when you look at the leadership of the church, and it's not always just the pastor. But you look at the leadership of the church and how they exhibit and how they carry themselves and exhibit their faith, then the followers in that church will tend to have more faith and trust God more because they see it in their leadership. Churches where the members are don't have a lot of faith, and you talk about people go to churches that's a weak church. That's because people tend to gather together and tend to bond and stay at the same level, and it just takes one or two people to come in and disrupt that and show people how to trust God, how to believe in God. We see that in homes also. A lot of times we see homes where if you have a strong Christian father or a strong Christian mother, the children start to follow the mother or the father. Even the other spouse starts to follow. And especially in the case of a male, we see a lot of women in church without men. But we rarely see men in church without their wives, because we tend to follow our leaders, and men have been placed in a leadership position by God. And when we're in the right place with God, our families tend to follow us. So let's all make sure that regardless of who we are, whether we're a leader or not, that we show and we let the world see our faith in God, because that will draw people to God. Let's make sure that people understand that it's not us, that it's not me, it's not I that are doing these things, but it's my faith in God that gives me the strength, that gives me the fortitude to do the things that I do, and to be successful when I'm successful, to get through situations when I'm in through situations, that God is delivering me through those things. So whoever you are, wherever you are, let your light shine. Let people know that you are a Christian. Let them know that you are a strong faith follower of Jesus Christ. That's all the time that I have today. God bless you. God loves you, and I love you too. Have a great day.